Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor, and welcome to another episode of 10 Commandments for This One's Wife, where I imbue the power of injunction, the power of compulsion, the power of coercion in a guest who is able to issue 10 commandments to this one's wife, which she is bound by. She can't get out of them. She can't wriggle away from them. They affect her. My guest today is RHR Jen with one N, let it be known. Very important. Hello, Jen.
Hello. Thank you for clarifying that.
You're most welcome. One wouldn't want to fall foul of getting your name incorrect. It would be a gross invasion of a lady's privacy. Now, we're going to hear about your commandments, so furnish me with your first one, please.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun to work on and put
You're
together.
welcome.
And so all right, if we're diving right in, I did them in order from my least serious leading up to my most serious.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one I did was thou shalt not lay hands on another microphone.
I hear cheering as a consequence of that commandment being issued, but let's hit the expansion as to why you selected that.
Okay, so I said, let it be known from this day forth, no such soul shall be subjected to the auditory ordeal of Meghan Markle's nonsensical word salad. When she grips the tool of sound, verily the commandment extends to her court jester has as well. No more shall their voices laden with phrases trendy yet hollow echo through the chambers of our ears. For they've declared themselves profound without substance to back it. So there you go.
Okay. Well, Harry can't be affected by your commandment.
Yes, but Meghan is, so maybe she could convince him not to, because he does whatever she says.
Well, that's a possibility. If she might convince him, but he is not affected directly by it. But certainly she can't touch another microphone. So she can't hand it to anybody. She can't even attempt to wrestle it off somebody, a la the Kevin Costner event. So she's now prevented from laying her hands on another microphone. Now, you mentioned being relieved of the ordeal of her nonsensical word salad, Jen.
Yes.
What is it that offends you most about when she does this? Is it what she says, or the tone of her voice, or the very fact that she presumes that we want to hear what she's got to say?
I would say it's all of the above. I think she dominates conversations and events. It reflects a perception that she's, it's seeking to control and manipulate how she's perceived. And I think just feeling important and feeling herself with the microphone. So yeah, all the above.
You can see the surge of fuel that she gets when she gets hold of a microphone. There's almost the sort of curling up of her lips as she thinks they're mine now, and that they have to listen to the nonsense that she spouts. Have you ever had to grip a microphone? And no, that's not a euphemism.
Again, stop looking in my window. Yes, I am a former stand-up comedian, so I have had many experiences with microphones. I haven't really discussed that, but yes, I did it for years.
Yeah. Okay, well, you're well acquainted then.
I am.
Having a microphone in your hand on the basis of being a former stand-up comedian.
But I can't say I had quite as much glee.
No.
With the microphone.
No, well, different beast, one should imagine. Well, that's certainly an encouraging start, and one I'm sure that many people would agree with. So furnish me now with your second commandment, please.
Okay. Thou shalt fuck right off with weaponized bronzer. So yeah, I just said, you realize that we can see you, right? We can see what you're doing with the layers of orange. Your face is doubling as a war zone, and it's ridiculous. Admit that you're race baiting with your orange crayons. Frankly, I'm surprised Hank hasn't eaten the orange crayons yet.
I think he prefers green and blue for the ones that he can chew.
Do they
But
taste better?
I believe so. Yeah, they seem to satisfy him more. And it's
Mhm.
quite probably the case that he's had his knuckles wrapped if he's gone anywhere near the ones which are sort of orange, bronze, brown, etc.
Mhm.
So the use of bronzer by her offends, and it would appear that primarily it's because you see it as weaponization by her with regard to race.
That's exactly it. To me, it's a tool for manipulation. That's all I can see with it. It's to distract from her actions or her statements or whatever, and it's very strategic in the way she does it. Because again, recently we've seen she'll go as pale as I am, but then she's back around, the ladies from Afghanistan, and we see her back in the bronzer again. So yeah, she
Okay.
definitely.
What if she was to get out in the Californian sunshine or even get down the tanning salon
Mhm.
and really get a tan? And then when she wanted to go Caucasian, she would use the face cream in an effort to get around what you've declared.
Hmm. We'll still see right through her. I mean, she can. That's basically what she's doing now. So it would be,
Yeah, but you want to stop her doing it.
I know. I'm thinking. Yeah, I got nothing on that. I don't know. To me, it's more offensive to do the orange. We all can change shades, within a
So if she
range.
was to get a tan, you wouldn't have an issue with that. But then if she wants
No.
to lighten the tan with face creams or face
Face
powder,
cream.
etc., which is the reverse of, in effect, of what she's doing now,
Uh-huh.
would you find that offensive?
You're annoying me already. No, I don't think. No, I would still see what she's doing, but it's not quite the same as when she paints herself completely orange in effort to, again, weaponize the bronzer. I think that's a different animal altogether.
Why is it different?
Because we see what she's doing. We all see it. She's doing it
Yeah,
to,
but
again.
you said that you would see her doing it were she to lighten her face. So then that's the same.
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
I know. No, I just find it particularly offensive when she paints on the orange. So if she's gonna, I mean, I get your point. I get what you're
hmm
doing. Um,
Might it be? I offer this as a suggestion. I'm not putting words in your mouth.
mhm.
Might it be that you see her as more white than necessarily non-white, and therefore you find it more offensive for her to go down the bronze route rather than the other way around? That if she lightens up, that's more naturally what she is?
I hadn't really thought about it, but I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
you see the more fraudulent activity in
I do.
portraying herself as
Uh,
darker when she's not really.
well, she's not even going darker. It's more orange, which is batshit crazy, right? I mean, what what race is orange?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a sort of orangey bronze, isn't it? We know what she's trying to do. She's trying to look
Yes,
darker, isn't she? And sometimes she
exactly.
does look more umpa-lumpa, and other times she does look a little browner than she ordinarily might do. But
Yes,
I'm just wondering, that's what occurs to me, that you might find
yes,
that you see her, because I do. I've always
I do
maintained
too.
that I've
Yes.
always thought that she was white, at most, possibly a bit of Hispanic or sort of Mediterranean influence. It never occurred to me that she was biracial.
Sure. Well, and I think that's by design. I think for a long time she didn't talk about that until it was convenient for her, and then she did.
Absolutely, absolutely. But
Mhm.
the weaponized bronzer is off, so we're not going to see in this world any
Mhm.
more of the layers of orange. The race baiting that way is forbidden. Okay, let's move on to the third commandment, please, Jen.
Okay. Thou shalt stop speaking bollocks. I hope I use that word right. That's still a new one for me.
No,
But
no, that's correct.
okay, good. So this was one that I really wanted to include that's a little bit more of a catch-all, and I addressed specifically things like her feigned, and I said basically thou did declare the feigned innocence that thou did not research Prince Harry or his royal lineage
hmm
before marriage, yet there's evidence to the contrary. Another one is that I talked about, and this is kind of a tough subject, but the miscarriages, the
Yeah.
miscarriage, we heard several different stories there, and it seems to change. It's things like that. And then basically I wrapped it up by saying, Meghan, cease thy speaking of bollocks. For every untruth uttered, thou shalt stand before the public and confess each falsehood, for the truth should be thy guide.
Okay, so you do have the power to stop her completely talking bollocks. So it's not a case that she can still issue an untruth and then has to explain it. You can just cut out the bollocks completely. Would you prefer that?
I get what you're saying, and I feel like I should pick that, but I want to hear her explain it. I want to hear from her exactly why each and every one, like from as simple as, yeah, I didn't research him before to we got married 3 days before and everything in between. I want to hear the reasons why.
So perhaps more accurately, it would be you can speak bollocks, but you have to explain your bollocks.
No, but I want to curb the bollocks. I want to stop the bollocks from going forward because she's still using it for, I don't know, to me, weaponization against like Catherine and stuff like that. So let's stop it all.
So basically, it would be you are not allowed to speak bollocks any longer.
There
No
you
explanation. Go. Yeah, if you want to stop her doing it. Yeah. Okay. Now, of course, what would she talk about then?
That is a very good question. Herself, I mean.
Yeah. But wouldn't that be a load of bollocks because she's boring? How wide are we defining bollocks?
You tell me. You're English. Tell me.
They're your commandments.
I know, but maybe I don't understand bollocks enough. Bullshit, right? I mean, it's bullshit.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's just a slightly more polite way of saying bullshit.
Right.
So if somebody's talking a load of bollocks, you basically it's a load of nonsense, a load of rubbish, a load of horseshit, a load of bullshit. But for instance, we might think that her just talking about herself is a load of bollocks because she's just so dull and boring. Would it be linked to untruths?
Yes, that's the way I intended it. Yes.
Okay. So for instance, we get subjected to a word salad, which isn't a lie. It's a load of bollocks to listen to, but she can still do that.
Well, did we banish that with the microphone one?
Oh, well, she might just stand on a soapbox and
just yell it.
Yell it out there, project her voice.
Fair enough. Yeah. No, I'm okay with that. I mean, that's fine. It'll still give us something to talk about.
Okay. Fair enough. What's the next one, please?
Okay. Let's see. So the next one is thou shalt admit that curtsy was a real bitch move.
How are you going to have her make this admission?
All right. So I said, admit that you don't appreciate anything anything, and that you chose to mock the traditions of the royal customs. Offer a sincere apology to Her Majesty the late Queen and the entire royal family for the disrespect. And I hereby command you to be treated with the same disrespect by all of those unfortunate enough to cross paths with you. Okay.
So not only does she have to issue an admission, there's a punishment aspect to this as well.
That's right.
Okay. What is it about that curtsy that really gets to you?
I am. What?
What is it about the curtsy that really gets to you?
I just think it's the most disrespectful thing. I think it was so horribly rude for somebody that, tells people she had international studies degree and all this bullshit. And then to go out there and do that. And I think about the opportunities that most people would kill for that she had, and instead of appreciating it. And again, I understand that Her Majesty the late Queen is one of my favorite people in the world. I think she's the coolest. So to disrespect her like that, and now knowing, that she, at the time the Queen was suffering and had just lost her husband and stuff, it just makes it so much worse to me. It's just disrespectful, lacking in protocol. It's showing, to me, it just showed a darkness there, a almost like an evilness, Yes,
it's a multi-layered sandwich of utter disrespect.
Yeah.
You say that the Queen was in effect dying of bone cancer. She'd lost her husband.
Yep.
And then Queen, irrespective of what you might think about her, put in decades of service, and that alone justified a huge amount of respect. Furthermore, she'd given this one's wife every opportunity, and then she basically pulls down her skanky knickers and sharts all over the legacy of the Queen in the way that she behaved. It was absolutely disgusting. I think you're letting off, if I may say so, I think you're letting her off lightly with offering disrespect. But they're your commandments, not mine. So that's fair enough. But
no, I need more information. You can't leave me hanging like that. What do you mean? What did I do? Or why is that too light?
Well, you're saying that she'd be treated with the same disrespect. I
Yeah.
think that what she did there deserves a far greater punishment. I think it is utterly despicable to behave in the way that she did. And also, let's not lose sight of this. This wasn't her doing it in private. She knew she was being filmed as well.
Absolutely. But
So,
wouldn't you think, to somebody like that who thinks the whole wide world of themselves, to have everybody you come in contact with treat you like that, wouldn't that be a greater dig than most things that you could think of for somebody like that?
so you mean that when people would meet her, they would do an exaggerated curtsy,
Well, not literally, but more of just, okay,
spit on her?
so stop it.
That's disrespectful. And
So many jokes. No.
it's a pretty unpleasant thing to do,
You're
isn't it?
calling back to her yacht days. No. I'm talking about, so for somebody, we've heard the rumblings of insisting that people call her ma'am and all this stuff. For somebody that thinks so highly of themselves and puts these protocols in place for other people to break such things, wouldn't that bruise her ego worse than a lot of things, than spitting on her, perhaps? Maybe she's into that sort of thing.
Well, if you were to, and naturally one is not suggesting that anybody goes around doing that, because you'll end up with the long arm of the law tracking you down. The fact is that if someone were to spit on her, that would be challenge fuel. You're reacting to her, so she's gaining fuel, but she wouldn't want it because it is a disrespectful thing to do. I think the most powerful thing actually that can be done is to ignore her. That's what would get to her more than anything else. Doesn't feel as satisfying, I know.
No, it really doesn't. Yeah.
But because she's a narcissist, that's what gets to her more than anything. Because even if you were to call her bad names, yes, it infuriates her. Yes, it gets under her skin, but you're still acknowledging her existence. And that's what a narcissist wants.
I'm with you. I didn't suggest calling her bad names. It was more of, I think she is demanding respect she hasn't earned. And so I would think, again, you're the expert on this, not me, but I would think that would be a greater slap to her, would be to disregard her own, I'm using the word protocols very lightly, but you know what I mean? Her own protocols.
As I say, ignoring her would be involved in that protocol. I think you could combine showing disrespect to her by not addressing her and ignoring her, not using her title, for instance.
Okay.
And not acknowledging her, because that really gets to the narcissist. That really is a plate smashing move.
Fair enough.
Yeah, but the admission that her curtsy was a real bitch move has been there as the commandment issued against her. Let's move on to the next one. Furnish me with that, please.
Okay. Thou shalt honor thy father. And I said, as in call your dad and admit publicly that you've treated him unfairly and been such a snot to your family once they could no longer serve you. Admit that you abandoned him for doing exactly what you and your stupid husband do on a regular basis, calling the paps on yourself.
Okay, that's self-explanatory. What's the driver behind that, Jen?
I think about that quite a bit, just the relationship with her dad, and that the whole thing. I think it's crazy that she abandoned him over calling the paparazzi, and look all these years later at everything we know of her. That's what she does over and over. So I think it's the hypocrisy. I just get stuck on hypocrisy. It doesn't make any sense.
Do you think it was the paparazzi, or do you think it was something else that caused her to disengage from him?
It's absolutely everything else. That was just something she uses as a reason to be mad. It was everything. You know what I mean? Like he would have blown her cover. He's not the picture she wanted out there. He was a, overweight older man, and I think she didn't want that. And he was white, so I don't think she wanted that. There's a reason why it was just Doria in the pew.
Okay. So she needs to honor her father, give him a call, say, I've treated you badly. I've been a snot.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah. And that you wanted to hold her hands up to the hypocrisy also.
Yeah.
Well,
I think so. Yeah.
That can be made so.
Okay.
Now, potty mouth. What's the next one?
It's your favorite one. All right, I'm going to tell behind the scenes on this one. So this was the very first commandment I wrote.
Yep.
And Jen's not really a drinker, and Jen had a drink and wrote this commandment, and I stand by it. It's actually one of my favorites. You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Thou shalt not be a cunt.
Mm-hmm.
So I just said, you went on Oprah to try to get sympathy. So many lies told. So many stupid things said. So many times playing victim. So you and your idiot fantapubes could make some money and get some attention. Admit to every single lie you told. Admit to the exaggerations. Admit to your real motivations for doing this. Greed and attention. Admit and apologize for the hurt you intentionally inflicted on the royal family just because you're a spoiled, selfish cow. Again, I love your words. Your pal Oprah has to, I know I can't command her. I can hear your wheels turning. Stop it. Your pal Oprah has to admit her part in the sham of an interview as well. Admit that it was a money grab and admit that, admit to every single lie you told.
Okay, so under the umbrella term of thou shalt no longer be a cunt.
Yes.
Well, you've just single-handedly wiped out the livelihoods of a variety of YouTubers, haven't you? What are they going to talk about if she can't be a cunt any longer?
Well, I guess what?
I can talk about narcissism.
Yeah, well, I've got stuff I talk about. Have you seen my lives? They're like 6 hours long, so I'll never run out of stuff to talk about.
Good Lord, don't you get jaw ache after that?
Nope, I got a strong jaw. I'm good.
Okay. Well, so she can't be a see you next Tuesday any longer.
Yep.
So that's really going to limit what she's going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
Given that she forms a topic for you and other people to talk about, and let's be honest here, most people want to hear about her misbehaving. They're not really interested in the supposedly good things that they do. They want to see her getting up to mischief. They want to see her messing up. They want to see her failing. They want to see her basically being a see you next Tuesday. Do you not think that it would reduce the entertainment value that she provides, or is it a case of her cuntiness exceeds what she brings to the table in entertainment?
I would lean toward that.
Yeah.
But I think you're thinking of it strictly from, I get what you're saying. And I'm one of those YouTubers, so I depend on the clicks too. But I'm thinking of it more than that. I'm thinking of more, I'm a full-on empath. So to me, it's about justice. I think it's bullshit what she did. I get really upset about that specifically, that interview. And again, what they put Her Majesty the Late Queen through and stuff, and well, the whole family and all of it. So, yeah, I just have a real problem with it. So if it means I got to find something else to talk about, I'll find something else to talk about, because I think that was a real see you next Tuesday move.
Sure. Yeah. So clearly, not the behavior has caused offense that you want to ensure that she doesn't behave in a similar vein in the future.
Absolutely. Well, and I think I know you're gonna make fun of this. I don't care. It's the sense of fairness. It's not fair. I hear myself. I know. It's not fair what she did. It's not fair the way she treated that family. It's not right.
I don't think anybody would disagree with that.
You would, because you make fun of me for believing in fairness.
No.
Okay.
I recognize that certain actions are unfair, but the question is, there's not a lot of point getting upset about something being unfair. It's more effective to do something about it.
Well, that's what we're doing right now. We're doing something about it.
Exactly. So one can recognize that something is unfair. I can see certain things that I would regard as unfair to me. They might be different from what you would regard as unfair to you. But I suppose the difference is that I just think, right, let's get this sorted out and disincentivize somebody so the unfairness is removed. But anyway, that makes absolute sense, that she shall no longer be a cunt. So her cuntiness has been stripped out of her. Let's move on to the next commandment, please, Jen.
Okay, I'm afraid of the way your voice just did that. You've got something on me. I can already tell. Where are you going with this? Okay. Thou shalt
I think you need to lay off the ganja. It's making you paranoid, Jen.
No. Definitely not. I know you. I can tell. I can tell your wheels are turning. I know you. Okay, here we go.
Well, that's not particularly perceptive because they always are. But anyway, come on, let's have your commandment.
Man, you're feisty today. All right. Thou shalt not mistreat thy staff, nor withhold transparency of thy deeds. So I said, let the bullying reports be released. Let the victims of your treatment fully speak up. And let everyone know exactly what you subjected these people around you to. People there to help you. Let us see how you treated them. You must publicly apologize to each of them, pointing out all of the ways that you tortured them.
Okay. So is this the justice trait shining bright here?
Absolutely. 100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I've worked for Narcissists before. So yeah, I'm probably bringing my own stuff. I don't give a shit. It's just so horrible. The things that we've heard, just even the rumblings. And to me, in my opinion, it seems like that's probably the tip of the iceberg. And if she didn't have anything to hide, why not let them out of their NDAs and just speak freely?
Yeah. So they can talk about how they've been treated. And you are firmly of the view that those people were mistreated by her, that they were bullied.
1,000,000%. Yes. I've read all those books, and I'm sorry, but the stories are just too similar. And where there's smoke, there's fire. Yes. I swear to God, I've worked for people like that.
Okay. Yeah. So going forward, she can't mistreat anybody, and she basically has to make good on owning her bullying of people in the past and offer them a public apology.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Why does it have to be public?
Because I want to know every single thing that she did.
Why?
Because I want everybody to know it. Because again, she hides behind this, feminists, we're all women helping women and stuff. No, we've heard from Jason Knopf that she always had a woman in her sights and that she was going after them.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, yeah, I think it's only right. And I think it's only right for the victims who had to deal with this. Imagine somebody not you, but me, treated me like this, and then went around and played victim afterwards, like, oh no, the palace was so mean to me. I wasn't mean to them. No, I want to hear every single thing that you did. I want to hear every detail of it. And I want the whole world to hear it so they can see what a lying cow you are.
All right. Plenty of feeling behind that commandment.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. What's your 8th one?
Okay, so the next one is thou shalt not try that again. Thou shalt not silence thine critics in name of virtue. So I said, this commandment forbids the act of suppressing free speech under the pretense of safeguarding virtue or protecting the vulnerable, such as children. It warns against the misuse of noble causes to justify censorship, particularly when the real intent is to shield oneself from criticism while freely critiquing others. It emphasizes the importance of maintaining open dialogue and the integrity of public discourse, ensuring that the freedom of expression remains unviolated. This commandment calls for transparency in motives and actions, urging individuals, especially those in positions of influence and publicity, to uphold the sanctity of free speech without manipulating public perception or using noble pretexts for personal gain. I feel strongly about this one too.
Okay, so can she silence her critics at all?
No, because free speech.
Right, okay. So she can't use virtue to do it, and she can't silence them at all.
No.
I understand where you're coming from, because that's the modus operandi that she's used to cause people to try and shut people up on the basis of pretending that she's doing something good. Because, of course, those that advise her and her own narcissism understands enough that if you go around basically saying, shut it, that does make you look somewhat dictatorial. And therefore, you do it under the guise of something else, which we have seen that she has done.
Correct.
What is it that you find problematic? Is it the attack upon freedom of speech, or the sanctimonious way that she goes about trying to silence people?
I would say both of those, in addition to, again, while she's freely speaking out about, everything, anything and everything. I find all of it just completely infuriating. Yes.
Yeah, but I think that is one of her rankest hypocrisies.
Yes.
And it's interesting because it's something that's replicated by many of her followers, along with other people
Yes.
around in the world who will say, I'm allowed to say what I want, but the minute you say anything because you disagree with me, I'm going to close you down.
That's it. She's using her her platform to try to influence and control these narratives. It's crazy. And then it's an abuse of power and it's virtue signaling. So.
Yeah, and it's because, first of all, her narcissism tells her the world needs to know what you've got to say, so say it. Whereas actually, she has very little of interest to say to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
And then when she's criticized, because she's rightfully criticized in 95% of instances, she then says, oh, hang on a minute, you're not allowed to criticize me. You're a hater, you're a misogynist, you're a racist. So I'm going to silence you because I'm actually trying to protect the vulnerable.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it certainly does stink. And it's the same way that supporters behave as well.
Mm-hmm.
They will say something, you point out the idiocy of what they've written, the lack of evidential basis for it, the absence of critical thinking. And rather than engage the argument, they just go, oh, you're a racist.
Yeah. Oh, you're jealous. No, you mean
Yeah, you're
envious.
jealous. You don't know her.
Exactly.
You want to marry Harry.
Yes, I was
I'd
going to
rather
say
stick
you
a
want
fork in my eye.
Harry. Oh, no.
Yeah,
Definitely not.
exactly. No, I think that's a fair one to strike down the sanctimonious one.
Yay.
Yeah. Let's move on to the 9th one.
Okay. Let's see. The 9th one was honor Her Majesty, the late Queen Elizabeth II. And I said publicly apologize to Her Majesty the late Queen, recognizing her grace, her duty, and the respect that she deserved. Admit what petty pricks you and Fantapubes have been, and the opportunities you guys have pissed away because you expected. People expected you to do some actual work, not just show up and embarrass yourselves by whoring out that one's wife's voice skills or throat skills to Bob Iger.
Throat skills.
I made you laugh. Go ahead. Yeah. She was basically doing an advertisement for her throat skills on the red carpet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It was
not the first time. What?
I can well imagine that there were toes curling in secondhand embarrassment as people watched that.
Yeah, just look at anybody's faces around them. Beyonce was backing up, trying to disappear into the sidelines there. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, experiencing the full horror of the abject loser shilling herself on the red carpet. Shameless. Where would this public apology take place? Where would you have it done?
Oh, God. No idea.
Broadcast over the airwaves?
There you go. Sure. Sounds good. Yeah, I think so.
I think she should be made to come to I think she should be made to come to Speaker's Corner in Hyde Park.
Oh, so you're bringing her back to the UK? Are you crazy?
Well, exactly, you see, because that's something that will cause particular consternation for her. So I think she needs to do it in the United Kingdom because she's also disrespected the good burghers of this fair nation.
Mm-hmm.
So I think as a part of that apology to ensure that she's brought and she has to stand in front of people, she can't just do it in a closed off studio. Let's get her out there and make it public. It's publicly broadcast and it's done from a public place.
Why Hyde Park specifically?
Because people are free to assemble there. Mm-hmm. So she wouldn't be able to control the situation by having it all cordoned off or anything like that. So if people turned up and wanted to stand right in front of her, right underneath her maladjusted nose, and look into her eyes and hiss at her, they're allowed to.
Okay.
Just as you're allowed the right to stand there and say what you would like to say, people are allowed to stand and listen to you, and they can stand and clap and cheer and say huzzah, yeah, or they might stand there and say you're talking a load of bollocks, get out of here. So she would be forced to make this apology in front of people, not secured away in a studio somewhere. Let her feel that anxiety. Let her sweat a little. Let the pit stains of doom come forth. Good.
Yeah. Thank
now
you.
Then, number 10, please.
Okay, this is the one I feel the most passionate about. Okay. Thou shalt apologize to Catherine. I said, this commandment requires Meghan Markle to publicly and sincerely apologize to Catherine for her actions. She must acknowledge and confess having wronged Catherine through targeted attacks on her, going after everything from her character to her marriage. Meghan should admit to encouraging her friends, known as Plastic Face and Bozo, to also attack Catherine, thus contributing to a hostile environment. Furthermore, she should acknowledge her role in influencing her followers, who I've affectionately called Meghan's mediocre mafia, to spread negative stories about Catherine, including petty grievances like the lip gloss incident, and all the way up to the more serious ones, like going after her cancer diagnosis and treatment. Meghan needs to openly confess that she feels inferior to Catherine in various aspects such as intelligence, charm, class, elegance, charisma, and that this envy has driven her, envy, not jealousy, right? Has driven her to behave in ways that are harmful, spiteful, and hurtful. So suck on
Why
that.
why is that the one that you feel strongest about?
Because Catherine is my all-time favorite, and I will die defending her. I just think it's so wrong what I say both of them have put her through, but specifically it seems to be coming, in my opinion, from Meghan herself.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I just feel so strongly about this. And if you trace back to about the time that Meghan came into the family, I feel like that's when it started. I mean, it's just, yeah, it's ridiculous and it's disgusting to watch. And it's still, obviously it's ongoing with this, with the cancer treatment and everything else.
Yeah. Okay. Now, looking at your commandments in aggregate.
Yes.
There is an element of restraining her. For instance, you can't use a weaponized bronzer. You're going to stop talking bollocks. You can't be a cunt. And you're not laying your hands on another microphone. But the overall thrust I gain from it is it's all about admissions and apologies. So you've got to admit that you did this, and you've got to apologize for this, and you've got to go and admit to your father that you've treated him unfairly, and you've got to admit to the staff that you bullied them, and you've got to admit that you have behaved reprehensibly towards the Queen and to Catherine, etc. Would you agree that that's the overall thrust of is admissions and apologies?
Absolutely. Okay, so again, if we're going to go psychological here, I would say it comes from my desire for accountability. I think she should be held accountable, absolutely. But I think it's, when I was reflecting on it too, and I was like, I wrote these and I really thought about why do I feel so strongly, and what was I?
Well, it's clearly you put a lot of thought into it. Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you. But I thought, to me, it comes from my frustrations and my criticism, and again, my desire for accountability. And it's rooted in, the psychology behind it all. I'm stuck. So, yeah.
Yeah. Do you have any desire for punishment, or do you think the restraint in itself and the need to make the admissions a punishment enough?
I think that I think it would be that, and I think that I think so many people have woken up to her awfulness, and I think the last few would wake up to her awfulness by doing that. So it would kill any future anything as well. So
what is interesting is that you are seeking her to admit and apologize for things that you, in essence, already know.
Yes, because she's incapable of doing such things. She cannot admit, we'll never see her say, yes, I'm inferior in every way of Catherine. I've gone after her, and these are the reasons. You know what I mean? Like, it's just never going to happen. Yes, I use bronzer.
You could compel such an admission because you have the power to do so. But
absolutely, that's what I'm saying. But if we're going more realistically, that's why I push for it, because I know deep down that it will not happen.
Yeah, but with these various things that's the case, and you want her to make that admission.
Yeah.
The addendum to that is you haven't focused, and this is an observation, it's not a criticism, and you're not obliged to go down this route. I'm just interested to understand your thought process. You've not gone down the route of basically getting her to confess to things that you'd love to know the answer to. Instead, it's about, I'm restraining you from doing these things because basically they get on my nerves, and I want you to admit and apologize for these things that I know that you've done because I want you to be held accountable, rather than I'm seeking answers to these things which remain speculation, possibilities, etc. You avoided that. Any particular reason?
No, I think I'm going to tie it back to myself. Intellectually, like, I don't, there's things that people speculate that I don't give a shit about. I just
Sure.
don't.
Yeah,
So
that's fair enough.
I think it'd be much more interesting to admit, because again, if I go back to, I want the rest of the world to see it, and you have to break it down to these easier bite-sized pieces for people that are not invested like we are to see it. And this is how you do it.
So it's about accountability and getting the world to see what she is.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Well, there we have it, valuable viewers. 10 industriously thought out commandments from Jen. What do you think of them? Did they scratch the itch that you've had? Do you think Jen might have gone further, or do you think, no, she was on the nose with those things? What would you want to issue as a commandment towards this one's wife? Let Jen and I know in the comment section rather. All that remains for me to do is to offer my thanks to Jen for coming along and providing us with the, as I mentioned, industrious insight that she put a lot of work into. It's quite clear. Thank you for doing that, Jen.
Of course. Thank you as always for having me. And we're going to be recording for my channel soon. So come check that out and learn more about HG over there.
There we are. Quick plug for that. So all that remains for me is to say thank you, Jen, and thank you to you for listening.
Thank you.